What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview. So real quick before we jump into this badass, amazing content, I want to give our sponsors a plug that make all this possible. So our first sponsor is www.perfectstormnow.com. Front-end lead generation, real estate specific lead generation software. It's a brilliant branding site, lead generation site. Not only do we provide you an epic, amazing site, we coach you for hours every single month, you guys. We have private mastermind groups where we walk you through and teach you how to be a lead generation machine. So it's not just a website, it's a coaching platform where we teach you how to become a lead generation and a lead conversion to client machine. Our second sponsor is my personal mentorship program, my 90-day mastery bootcamp, right? So recently with the 90-day mastery bootcamp, we have added our alumni program. It's a $50 a month program that you have daily access to me in our own private Facebook group, right? We have 2 monthly live sessions that are 2 hours long every single week. And again, you have daily access to me. We also have 2 live in-person events every 6 months. Every 6 months, we do a live event here in Phoenix Metro. They're 2 days long each event. We don't bring in speakers. There's nothing to sell. It's just hardcore masterminding, 20 hours of just hardcore badass content throughout those sessions. That's $50 a month. But in order to get into that program, you guys, you have to, the initiation fee, if you will, is the 90-day mastery bootcamp. We only want people in that program, real estate agents in that program, that know the process, that are going out there, that are getting results, know the process. So for the first time ever, we're allowing on our 90-day mastery bootcamp, splitting up into 3 payments. That program is $997. We're splitting up into 3 payments with no finance fee. So www.90daymastery.com. Promo code Live Mastery. There's only a few events left this year. If you have any questions about that event, shoot me an email, joshua@gsdmode.com. Also, make sure to jump into the private Facebook group. We just created a GSD Mode private Facebook group. It's a free group. So it's a place to make sure that you guys aren't missing out on any content. Also, a great place for you to mastermind and hang out with and be around other like-minded people. So anyway, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and let's jump on into the show. What is up, my peeps? Joshua Smith here with another GSD interview. Every single week we interview top entrepreneurs and just straight up top badasses. You guys out there dominant in their space, that are doing big things, that are choosing to live epic lives and not live a life of mediocrity. So today, you guys, got a guest on the show that I'm really excited to have on the show. So this is a guy that's a health and fitness expert, entrepreneur, online digital entrepreneur, best-selling author, powerlifting champion, and just overall amazing dude. So really stoked and honored to have Al Morentin on the show. Welcome to the show, my friend.
Thank you, Joshua. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man, I'm really excited, man. We were talking for a few minutes before we jumped online here, and I know you've got a pretty interesting background, man. I mean, you've done a lot. Again, you're from your powerlifting background, health and fitness space, best-selling author, and today you're going out there and you're helping a lot of entrepreneurs develop in the fitness space, develop their brands, develop their online marketing and digital marketing, and really excited to dive into that. But before we jump into that, I'm always interested to hear, the stories of our guests of what led you into entrepreneurship in the first place.
Well, it sort of goes all the way back to childhood. My mom got me interested in fitness, of all people, right? And I ended up, just falling in love with it, like as from when I was a baby, and it just had a passion for health and for nutrition. But the entrepreneur thing sort of happened it came out when I was in junior high. There was a kid that had a paper route in front of my house. He had 2 paper routes, and I ended up convincing him to sell me the one that was in front of my house. And then so I had the paper route in front of my house, which was convenient. Then I got the other one from him, and then I ended up getting another paper route from another newspaper that was within the same territory. So I was delivering 2 different newspapers. I had 3 routes at one time, and that was sort of like my entrepreneurial start there.
Yeah, I love it, man. Banking some cash at an early age, and then we see a lot of entrepreneurs that maybe start in junior high school, elementary ages, and then they kind of take the path that society kind of conditions us to take, where maybe they jump into college and then jump into corporate America and then get back into it. Did you ever go that path, or did you always stick into business for yourself?
I sort of tried it a little bit. I when I was in high school, we got exposed to doing like these backyard parties and stuff, and we would make money from that. We would convince the people's parents to let us use their house, and we'd bring the party, the DJ and the people, and we'd charge at the door, and we'd split the door with them. So and that went into sort of like underground parties and nightclubs and stuff. So that
I
was,
see.
but so I didn't really have to do that. That's what supported me through college. And when I was 21, I actually started personal training.
Okay, so that really started the career in the health and fitness space, and so you're training, and obviously I know you're a power lifter. You're compete yourself in a lot of that.
Yes.
So then, what led from that? Because I mean, today, man, you're doing a lot of big things, right? I mean, you're out there helping a lot of health club owners, and not just health club owners, but wellness facilities, salons go out there and market themselves. What led you from personal training into the digital really arena that you're in today?
Okay. Well, what happened is, I've been doing this for a hell of a long time, and since 1987 is the first year that I opened my business for personal training. And along the way, I've seen a lot of changes happen, things come and go, and all this kind of stuff. But in the 2000s, the internet was coming into play, and people were making a lot of money in the early 2000s. So it was sort of easy, but the game was sort of changing too. And a lot about that time, the guru phenomenon came along, and that sort of that wasn't good for the fitness industry. It bastardized it, right? Because there was things that would work, that you develop and all this stuff, and then if this guru found out about it, then he would tell like 40,000 people about it, and then all of a sudden, what it wasn't as effective, basically. And then with the advent of the internet, people started doing like their boot camps in the park, and everything got diluted, and it became much harder. And then also, people saw real business people came into the space too, and they formed like these franchises that are tough to compete against as well, and all this kind of stuff. So it just totally changed the game. I joined those masterminds, right? I spent like 10,000 a year, 15,000 a year, whatever, flying out to the places 3 times a year, monthly, whatever. And they had some good stuff, but they didn't have the one thing that is essential to run a friggin' bricks and mortar business. They had who's your first hire should be, how to, have your admin do whatever, and how to build a fence around your herd, and all these cool things. But what do you need before that, right? And even with your business, what do you need? You need some fucking leads, right? So they didn't teach you how to do that. Every time I would ask that, and every one of the ones I was in, I always got the same answer, and that was, you do not have a traffic problem, you have a conversion problem.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the hell do you mean I have a conversion problem? I need people in front of me in order to, be able to have that kind of a problem, And, I was, good with public speaking and going out to wellness events and doing all that stuff. And that's good for building a business from scratch, but the sustainable stuff needs to be done on the back end where things, where you're just bringing in leads from the back end. And I wanted to learn that, and nobody could teach me that. And I think they just didn't know how to do that, because it's hard. And but that's what a business is. Everybody says, "Oh, I'm horrible at sales. I'm horrible at sales," and it's no, you're horrible at lead generation. You're passionate about your business. If you get results for people, you show that stuff. People, you tell your story, do all that stuff, and you can get business as long as you can get people in front of you. So I made that my sort of like my mission, and the game has changed along the way, but in 2006, I believe it was, I joined this thing called the Authority Site Center. And it was run by a guy named Ken McCarthy. I don't know if you ever heard of him. He's like the godfather of internet marketing. Like every single guy from like Joe Polish on down, they all went to him, right? He used to do this thing called the Big Seminar, and he is a fucking badass, right? It's just okay if I cuss.
Let's get shit done podcast, baby. So
Okay, so yeah, he's really awesome, and I was a part of his that Authority Site Center for 2 years, and I learned how to just drive traffic, tell your story, get people exposed to that, get targeted traffic, people that want your stuff specifically to raise their hand, and it was really really cool, Along that time too, Facebook, YouTube, all these different things came into play. But those are just tools, right? So the stuff that I learned there, I was able to adapt, and it became really really cool.
yeah, I mean, and the reality is, man, if you're not growing, if you're not adapting, you're not changing, you're going to become extinct, So it sounds like you initially started adapting and changing for your own business. At what point did you realize, holy crap, we saw this need that all these other facilities needed maybe that training, and then you decided to transition into really more of the consulting space and helping other businesses establish this?
Okay, well here's the thing, right? So that was like 2006 to 2008. As you know, you got hit hard about that time, right? And so it affected everything, especially personal training, because I was literally 2008, 2007, 2006. I'd say, hey, I was selling like $3,000 packages, pay up front, whatever, for 3 months of personal training, and it was like, oh yeah, I'm getting $100,000 check for equity in my house. I'll give that to you next week, paid full in cash. It was like silly, right? It became really silly. Started making silly money compared to what the effort being put out, and it sort of worried me. And that crash happened, and a lot of businesses went under, and so some survived, and it was really brutal for them. And it was sort of brutal for me at first, and then I recalculated, and I learned some new stuff, right? And that's when I saw it. I see that all these people at these mastermind groups, they want to do good, and they have good hearts, and they deliver a really good service, a really good business, and they help people, but they don't know how to get people into their place, into their facility, so they could actually change their lives, right? And because what they do is really important. So getting those people into their place, I learned how to do that really well, and I am exposed to these people, so I'm okay. I'm just gonna teach these people how to be successful, to get these leads through the door, so they could, basically removing their technological headaches, so they could do what they love to do, run their business, and create an amazing customer experience for their members and guests.
Yeah, before we hit the record button, you and I were talking about, hey, just because you're a world-class chef doesn't mean that you can go open up a restaurant and be successful just because you know how to cook. And that's something that most business owners struggle with. They're awesome at their craft, but they don't know how you said to lead generate, nurture those leads, turn them into conversions, and run all the back end stuff. So let's just talk about health clubs, right? Because you and I both know that space, and a lot of our listeners are familiar with that space. So if you're a new health club owner, because the game has totally changed. The bricks and mortar now with all these, like you said, franchise, all these boutique things. Somebody that's maybe either wanting to get in that space or that's maybe has a small facility that's really struggling. Where do they even begin? Is it, as far as the location? Because then, okay, if I want to get these leads, man, I got to identify who my avatar is, who my customer base is going to be, and making sure that we're in a location where they fit those needs. What are some of that initial recommendations that you give to a client?
Yeah, the very first thing, the very first thing that you need to do is you need to decide that avatar. It's good that you brought that up, because you have to understand, and this is with any business, it doesn't matter. I work with service-based businesses, but this is true for any business. You have to decide on the customer that you want to deal with, especially as intimate as personal training and a fitness center, because you're going to be around that type of person every single fucking day, right? And they're going to be telling you their stories, they're going to be telling you all their stuff, and that has to be a person that you want to be around, right? So it can't be like, oh yeah, I want to, I hear that, the aging population is, where it's at right now. They have the money to spend, the boomers, and yeah, they have the money to spend, but do you want to be around those kind of people all the time? Is that what you like? So that's a big deal.
Yep, love it. How important is, because I've been out of that space for a while. It's been about 12 years since I left working physically in the health club industry. Is location as important? Because it used to be like, hey, if you weren't on their way home, or their way to work on their commute, is that as important? Because now at the digital space, the drive-by traffic, is it as important or less important today?
Okay, it's important as far as proximity to people. It's not important as far as being on the main boulevard and drive-by traffic. So the internet has made it so you could actually have your web presence out there. I call it web presence optimization, and drive to a warehouse or whatever in a commercial district, whatever. But that commercial district needs to be relatively close to a residential area, that the customers can come from, because customers aren't going to drive typically more than 10 or 15 minutes to your facility.
Yep. So then when it comes to, sharing your story and selling that online message, because it seems like today the consumer loves to buy, but they hate being sold, right? So it can't be like in your face sales messages. You almost have to have like a positive impact on their life before they're going to fork out their money. When it comes to marketing with clients that you first start working with, what are some of the common mistakes that you see that they're making that you initially have them shift without giving away all the secrets, right?
Well, they do one thing, like one particular thing that they see people doing, and they think it's going to work for them, and it does a little bit of success, but doesn't fulfill them and get them to where they want to go. So it keeps them in that hamster cage. And an example of that is like right now that's like sort of big with the fitness world is Facebook retargeting ads and stuff like that, right? So, and, using things like, whatever lead pages, ClickFunnels, for your landing pages, and then doing your things over here. And that's cool, but that can be a small part of your plan. And that works for digital marketers, right? And that's who they go after. Like, they see the big digital marketers out there having success with that, but those guys don't have bricks and mortar businesses. So they follow the wrong people, and they do that just one little segment. Right.
Yeah.
So what needs to be done is just having a presence all across the internet. Right. It starts off with a website. You could have something really simple, one page, whatever, to start off with. But you need to optimize the on-site, on-page, and a little bit of off-site. There has to be some of that in there, and it has to be done right. Very few people know how to do that correctly. All right. And then there's dozens of places all around the internet where people could find out about you, right? So we need to capture all those different areas. We need to have them delivering the same exact message. We have to make them all look the same, and just be congruent all the way across the board. So no matter where somebody comes in contact with you, they understand that it's you, and they understand what message you're delivering, and it's either, this guy is for me, or this company is for me, or not.
Yeah, and and it seems true. I mean, I operate 6 businesses today, and all of them are in different spaces, right? But it seems like the process is almost similar in all of them. Right? Yes. You got to get out there and lead generate, and then it's the follow up. People get these leads, but they don't want to continue that frequency. They follow up once, twice, and then it's just done. They don't have a funnel that they're putting them into, and hardcore frequency. So with your clientele in the service-based industry, what does that look like? Once you get that lead, how often should you be touching your people, following up with your people? How many exposures before you can expect to even get a customer?
All right, so that's a really good question, Joshua. So there's let me explain it like this, okay? So a lot of people, they go after the leads and nurturing the leads and all that stuff, which is really, 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 really good. Like especially for your business too, really, really, really good. But people with fitness, people in salons, things like that, they're looking for something right now, right? So the biggest mistake that I see people make is they have a lead magnet out there, just like I said. That's what I was saying. Just like the internet marketer who has his lead magnet, and then he has his low barrier to entry offer, and then upsell into this, and then go into the coaching program and the recurring revenue. That's not the model for you. So what we do is we have like hardcore, attractive front end offers that we have people go after and get those, right. They opt in for those. They can call in for them. They could get them through text message. We have this badass marketing platform that does all that, right, and it automates all that. And we do have an autoresponder series that goes along with that to help them to come in. But they're claiming something, right? It's not a lead magnet. It's a low barrier to entry offer that they're claiming right off the bat, and then we nurture them to come in to claim that.
Yeah, like a 1 week free trial or something, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And an example of that right now too is like with very little work on the part of this salon that's in Los Angeles. Over in the city, it's a suburb. Over 100 salons in her city, 10 on her street, and people rank higher than her. They do, she's not in the Google Maps, in the top three. You would, on the outside looking in, you wouldn't think much of it, but she kills every salon in her area. She's getting 50 leads a month, 30 plus walking through the door. Right now, 30 plus new people walking through the door, off of doing her. They're not sending out anything. They're not doing anything to do that. It's just all back end stuff that we do with developing their presence all across the web.
Yeah, I love it, man. So and I think that this is important for those of you that are in this space to really be listening to, and of course I want you to talk about your website and how to get a hold of you for that specific niche, because it's one of these things where you guys got to make that choice. Do I want to go out there and learn all the stuff that owls learn, spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and decades learning all this stuff, or do I just employ a company like Owl's company to come in there and infuse it so then you can focus on being brilliant at the training and the things that you're brilliant at, right? So if somebody is interested in reaching out to Al that's in that space that maybe, hey, I got this problem, I know Al's the guy to solve the problem, how do they reach out to you? How do they learn more about you when it comes to that?
Well, you could go to, there's fitgear.net, and there's grademy.biz is two websites. But one thing that I'm just starting, I just put it up there a couple of days ago. I don't even have anything up there yet, but I started a Facebook group called Digital Marketing Made Easy for Gyms, Salons, and Wellness Centers.
Awesome.
And that's where people will be able to find out a lot about what's goes on within my business and how it, and then also it could they could ask questions of how to get going and how to get some traction in today's world. Because I don't want to put a lot of stuff on a website because competitors could see that and stuff like that, whatever. But and I don't want stuff to get bastardized. I give territories and stuff like that. I went to a conference though in May with Google and Bing and Yext, and they were talking about mobile, right, which is big right now, and then also this web presence kind of stuff, and they were confirming that in today's world you need someone to manage that stuff for you because it's just getting so complex out there. But there are things that you could do, simple little things that you can do to get going and get traction, because I realize people don't have money sometimes, and there are simple things, and we're going to be giving away stuff like that within that group.
Yeah, I love it. And those of you watching or listening, guys, we want to make it really easy. And we're going to have live links. I'll make sure to get those from Al. So when we release this and publish this, whether you're listening to this on iTunes, Stitch, or watching on YouTube, there's going to be links below that you can join right in. And I'm sure it's a private group. We'll have to approve you, but get that in there. So I'm also interested, man, just kind of shifting gears on you. I know that you wrote a book, right? So let's talk about the book. What inspired you to write it, and what's the book about?
Oh, the book is called Better Living with Whole Foods. Okay, so I I was 28 years in the fitness industry, right? And then I actually like had like a little bit of a turmoil in the late 90s. I lost my business, and then I lost, like, I was on top of the world. I had everything, and I lost it all. And I went from sponsoring bodybuilders and stuff to renting a room from a friggin' bodybuilder, that I sponsored. And so I went downward spiral 2 years, just gained a bunch of weight, and got like a 44-inch waist, all this kind of crazy stuff. And I woke up one day, said, "This isn't me. This isn't who I am." And entrepreneur, I decided to document this and make myself my best case study, and all this kind of stuff. So I changed my life around and went the holistic route and ended up writing that book. And it's basically like a something that you could refer back to, as a manual, and it teaches you how to eat well and eat healthy in today's world. It was sort of ahead of its time. It talked about GMOs and genetically modified foods and different things like that. Way back when people didn't know about that kind of stuff. And but I wrote it just to educate people, because people didn't they're so confused about things, and it is really simple. Everything's simple. It's just you got to take action, right?
Well,
and you got to know what it is too.
Yeah, and it's getting harder and harder today, though. Right? Yeah, it's simple, but it's getting very difficult with all the. The average grocery store shelves have 10,000 chemicals on them, and it's getting harder and harder to know what to eat, what's right to eat, and a lot of what we're taught and conditioned, man, is totally wrong.
Yeah. So I'm sort of like you too, Joshua. Along that way, when I gained that weight, I lost 101 pounds to get back to where I needed to be, right? So that was some stuff. But also along that time, I got back into powerlifting and stuff, and I'm vegan, right? I don't eat any meat. So and people, you always think of the hippie, the peace, love, and whatever, and I'm that, I'm a holistic guy, but I'm also a hardcore motherfucker. I like stuff, and I like to battle. And so I went back in, and in 2013, 2014, I competed again. 2013, second place in states, first place in nationals, first place in military nationals and best lifter, first place in nationals, and then the USPA nationals, and then 2014, first place in the states, first place in the USPA nationals, and second place in the worlds.
Yeah, I love it. So on that path, because a lot of people think, well, if you're vegan or vegetarian, like you're gonna be like this really thin, kind of like marathon running style. But I mean, like you said, you're a badass. To do what you do, man, you got to be putting up some weight. You got to have some muscle. You got to have some massive strength. So you're living proof that you can be vegan and also be strong as hell. How do you get the protein sources, of things that you need to be watching out for? Because if you're not consuming meat, like supplementing with different vitamin Bs, things like that.
Yeah, definitely. If the B12 thing, it takes a long time for you to get depleted of that, but it is good to supplement with some kind of B12. And for a vegan, creatine, if you're trying to get strong, because that's the one thing that's missing. The protein thing, that's sort of a myth. I eat a lot of beans and rice and stuff like, because I'm really simple, but and a lot of vegetables. I don't eat the fake stuff. I don't do protein powders. I don't do fat burners. I don't do pre-workout, post-workout, none of that shit, right? I take this stuff called spirulina and the stuff called chlorella. It's been around forever, and those are the two baddest superfoods on the planet. And they're more than 50%. Like the chlorella is 50 to 60% protein. And spirulina is 60 to 70%, or the other way around. But they have so many different nutritional benefits in them. It's crazy. You could live off of that stuff in water.
Yeah, no, I love it, man. So when you're talking about creatine, what are you taking, like just 5 grams creatine monohydrate a day, just to give those an idea of what that looks like? Because we have a lot of people that always ask about different supplements. So I always like that.
So yeah, you sort of like start off a little bit small. Because you do that with everything. You want to see how it's going to affect you. So just a couple grams a day. Maybe start off with like a teaspoon. That's about 2.5 grams probably, and then or whatever it is. Don't worry. Let's go like about 2 grams, then go to 5 grams, and then for for a vegan, I would say go 5 grams on your off days and do 10 grams, like 5 before and 5 after your workout on your workout days.
Now, do you supplement with any type of like branched chain amino acids or just none of that stuff?
It's not necessarily bad to do that, but a lot of that stuff comes from animals. Right. And it's hard to find vegan like branched chain amino acids type of stuff. But that chlorella and spirulina, it's raw, so everything in there is sort of it has the branched chains, it has all that stuff in there. It has omega-3 fatty acids. It's like crazy how much nutrition that stuff has. I have thousands of people on that stuff, and it's changed their lives, you know.
I love it. I don't know if I've ever met a vegan powerlifter, so I love it, man. It's pretty intriguing, dude. And yeah, I had a guest on the other day too that said the very same thing, and he actually is a writer for Ironman magazine. He's like, dude, this whole protein thing we've been sold is really a myth. It was kind of really started when you had your supplement companies like Matrix coming out saying, oh, you need X amount every so many hours per pound of body weight. So look at some more stuff. And he's like, it really isn't what we've been taught or what we think that it is as far as the necessity of it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, there's a lot of misconceptions out there, and that book, that Better Living with Whole Foods, clears a lot of that stuff up. And it's not a vegan book either. There's meat in there, and dairy. And I interviewed a guy. He's a 30-year grass-fed cattle rancher, right? So if you're going to eat meat, there's specific kinds that you need to eat. Free of chemicals and all this kind of stuff, the hormones, all that stuff, but, raised certain ways and all that stuff to have certain kind of benefits. And the same thing with dairy. I interviewed a guy I know. He has a 600-acre organic dairy farm up north, just outside of Fresno. I actually sat with the cows and interviewed him for hours to write that one chapter in that book. So so dairy, specific kinds of dairy, one does good, one does harm. Meat, specific kinds, one type does good, one type does harm. There's no middle ground.
Yeah, I love it, man. I love it. So what's the best place to get the book? Amazon. We'll make sure to get a link for you below too. But
Amazon.
Okay, perfect, man. So out of curiosity, dude, I mean, the skill sets that you have, you could really transfer to any space. Do you see yourself staying in the service industry, the kind of health club salon style, or do you see yourself kind of branching into other areas in the future too? Because your skill set can be applied so broad, really.
Yeah. So when I left I left in August 2014. That's when I closed my gym down, and I still do have part ownership in a salon. So and that's sort of like I use it as a case study, so I just implement things like one at a time so I could actually track metrics and stuff like that, But the space that I'm moving towards is helping out the people who help out my people, right? And that's the coaches, because it's not that they were trying to mess me up in any kind of way. They actually are really good people, right? And this is what's true with a bunch of different industries, but they just didn't know that one part, And so I want to sort of help them to help their people by building out proprietary things like proprietary funnels or whatever, that are specific to their people, to their tribe, and sort of just be in the background. And my name might not even ever be mentioned, but it'll help their people a lot because it'll remove their technological headaches, but it'll also help the coach to retain their people longer because the people are actually getting results.
Yep. No, I love it, man. That's awesome. So I'm just kind of curious, what is, because the space that you're in, right? When it comes to marketing and digital marketing and online, I mean, all the stuff that you're having to do and master, things change so fast. And I can see all the books behind you, and obviously you're an author. So self-development's something that's very important to you. What does self-development look like for you? I mean, on a daily basis, weekly basis, to stay ahead of the curve? Because a dude in your seat, man, you always got to be ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's so two things that are really important. I study every fucking day. every single day of my life. I study. I learn new things. I learn from people like you. I've watched some of your podcasts since being introduced to you, and I learned a lot of stuff there. But I read, I listen, I don't think that I'm better or worse than anybody. I don't use age. I'm 50 years old. I don't use age as anything. I'll learn from people half my age. I don't care. I study every single day. Okay, that's really, really important. One other thing that's important too is things do change so much, right? That I test things, and your average business person doesn't have that luxury, per se, to know if things are working and are actually beneficial to their bricks and mortar business. Like in the past year, for instance, from now to last year this time, I've spent over $100,000 on different tools. About 70% of them I don't use.
Yep. I love it, man. Love it. So, I find in entrepreneurship and really every aspect of life, good very easily becomes the worst enemy of greatness. It's so easy to get caught up in things are good enough, to get comfortable, and then we stop striving for that greatness and stop leveling up. What keeps you personally, man, always leveling up and never just getting comfortable in this life?
It's sort of like, I'm sure you hear this all the time. It's sort of something inside of you. I remember when I was about 18 or 20, somewhere in there, I was at a friend's family function, and his dad said, "Al doesn't let the grass grow underneath his feet," or something like that. I'm always moving, and I didn't even really understand what that meant. I was like, "What the hell does he mean by that?" But yeah, I think it's because I'm always learning new things, and I'm just curious, and you need that to always be better. And one of the guests that was, I guess, your mentor before, that Alex Sharfin or whatever, he was saying how you need to just remove distraction as the better you get, so you could just focus on fewer and fewer things and just do more and more, do those fewer things better and better. And that makes a whole lot of sense. And just understanding that principle right there should drive you to move forward and get better and better at your craft. Because if you look at people that are really successful, they're only doing one or two things and just killing it, and just learn from that.
Yep. Yeah, I heard one time that success isn't learning to do thousands of things. It's learning to do three things brilliantly thousands of times. And I love it. Couldn't agree more with you on that. So, you're a dude that has been through a lot, right? Things that have, you've also had highs, you've had lows, you've made it, you've lost, had to rebuild. And I love your story, man, and love seeing you out there kick ass. Our listeners that are watching the show, man, because they want to go out there and create an epic life for themselves. They're like you and I. They're always looking to grow and expand. And with that being said, man, do you have any last words of advice or inspiration, motivation that you'd like to leave our listeners with, so they can go out there and create the life they know that they want and they deserve?
A couple of things. Well, one is mentors are important, even if you're stalking the mentor at first, because you can't afford them. But make sure that their values line up with yours, and that they have a similar personality as yours. Because if they're like, if you're an introvert like me, and they're like hardcore extrovert, A-type personality, then they're not somebody you should follow, because you're not going to be able to do what they do. Follow somebody that's similar, in principle, similar in values.
Yep, I love it. Powerful words, and couldn't agree more, my friend. To those that are watching and listening, thank you guys so much for watching and listening. As always, I end every podcast with this, you guys, but information without implementation is really just the start of delusion. Information's not power. It's taking action on that information, implementing it, that then creates power in your world. Al shared so many just amazing pieces of information with you guys. Take something that he shared today, go out there and implement in your life so you can create the life you know you want and deserve. Below will be, like I said, a link to Al's book, to his Facebook groups, to his website, so go check those out. And Al, man, this has been a massive honor, dude. I know how busy you are. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to be here, man. Truly means a lot.
Right on. Thank you very much, Joshua. Appreciate it.
All right, you got it, my friend. All right, you guys, we will see you next time.